So, Paul, we're on the topic this week of AI and its usefulness in our society, I suppose, and community. And this podcast, we're going to be chatting a bit more about AI, I suppose, as, you know, a worker in our community and how effective it is.
Yeah, and as a carer, I suppose, in particular, I think AI definitely has a role as a carer, because I remember watching one of the Apple presentations where they were talking about the Apple Watch and even the phone.
Yeah.
And people maybe out for a meal with the families and kind of go, oh, if you'll have indigestion, and the phone goes, or the watch says, no, you're not, it's you're having a heart attack, go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And the intelligence that's in it saved your life.
Yeah, isn't that incredible? Like, I love the idea of it, to be honest. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's going to be great. I mean, I would love to have an AI in doing my housework.
You have a husband?
No, he's not good enough. I need something that doesn't wear out.
Okay. Have you tried plugging them in?
I need to charge them up. I need to get
solar panels up for him.
Yeah.
But AI can constantly monitor your health, especially if you've got a wearable. And they're talking more and more about more wearables that you can have that'll monitor your health. So if you got like mobility issues, and I'm thinking in terms of Tesla making robots, the robot could bring you for a walk when you are infirm and you're not so steady.
Yeah.
It can make sure that you take your medication. It can say, 10 o'clock you're due your 2 tablets and make sure you take them. And even there are robots now that can make meals for you.
Yeah, oh my God, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing is, I think, right, you know, if they're going to place robots like that in an elderly kind of community, I think for the beginning of it anyways, it's going to make a big difference where exactly they place them and what their jobs are. Because I know in nursing homes, you know, there's so much dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that, you know, the robot can come along and dish out the medication, but it doesn't mean that the person's actually going to take it.
That's true, yeah.
You know, in a lot of cases, they'll hide it, or they'll pretend they took it, or they'll think they took it and they didn't, you know, and, you know, so a human being is going to have to oversee that and keep an eye on it.
But I would contend in the future that wearables would know if the medication's in your bloodstream.
Yes, they definitely will.
We haven't got that yet, but...
but again, a human's going to have to check that and come back over it and go, okay.
Yeah.
You know, you need to do it. Because, you know, I suppose a human being needs a certain genteel approach and, you know, to be encouraged to take it and to be, you know, to have it explained every day probably why it's important to take it.
Yeah, so in a way the AI can be more patient. Can it?
Hopefully.
The AI won't come into work with its issues and be in bad form or anything else like that.
Yeah, that's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that the AI can be very useful, because even it's your phone or your watch now can tell if you've had a fall. And we'll say, will we ring the emergency authorities?
Or your next of kin.
So that's very, very useful for somebody maybe who is not totally dependent on a carer, but somebody who has their independence, but it's kind of they're transitioning into needing full-time care.
Yeah.
That if you had an AI on site, you can be sure that your loved one has kind of been monitored.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely brilliant, because I know I'd hate to see my parents going into a nursing home. I really would.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's because of that transgenerational trauma piece. I remember my grandmother going into a nursing home and she died in it, you know, but like she starved herself to death. It was definitely a suicide.
Yeah.
And I think
she
my
gave
parents, she gave up. She didn't want to live there anymore. She hated it there. Excuse me, there was some of the nurses and they were absolutely horrible, you know, people, and obviously very burnt out and just shouldn't have been there anymore.
Yeah.
But I think my dad is traumatised by that.
Yeah.
So for him, he'd hate to go into a nursing home then in case the same thing had happened to him. Now, I know they're very different now and they're monitored a lot better, but definitely I do think if robots were, you know, running the show or doing a little bit more work with the older people, they could stay at home for longer, do you know?
They could.
They could be independent for longer.
They could, and robots don't need, they can be there 24/7. Okay, your husband is an exception. But they don't need holidays, they don't get sick.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay them.
Honest to God, you just buy them and that's it.
Yeah, you can buy. You might have a subscription or something.
Maybe, I don't know.
But then
you'd have to get them updated though and all this.
There was an interesting video that we watched, and it was robots in a Japanese nursing home, and there was an elderly lady, and she was interacting with this. It was a sea lion. It was a toy, a white seal, but the toy moved and had expressions and made sounds.
Wow.
And she was interacting with it. It was Guy Martin who was doing this documentary. And she was the lady was looking at the seal and kind of reacting, but when he said to her, "Konnichiwa," she reacted more favourably to him. She smiled because it was a human being that was talking to her.
Right.
But I think AI would, if somebody has cognitive impairment or speech impediments or anything like that, I think the AI would be able to communicate with it better and conjure up pictures of what it's trying to explain about, or in other ways. And it can do it probably with a consistency that we couldn't do as humans.
Yeah, and more patient as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the era of human error is nearly behind us, isn't it? Because, we have even spell check and everything checking over what we're doing. I saw a gorgeous documentary as well, just when we're on that piece about communication and animals, about sperm whales here the other night. And they were able to actually code, like in minutes, what it would take the scientists and the researchers months to do. The fact that sperm whales actually have a communication system and they communicate to each other. And it's just, they put 8,000... different communication things into it, and in minutes it had them all deciphered.
I saw that the AI figured it out. They've known for decades that whales are communicating, but they didn't know what the language was. Now they know that individual pods or families have their own particular dialect.
And if a male
goes to
leaves
a
it
one,
and he can learn it. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
And they were trying to communicate that they have different clicks and sounds for the boat, trying to communicate with the boat. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Do you remember that film Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams? It was about this robot, an AI robot that was with a family. It came out in probably early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
And it spent generations with the family. It lived to be 200 years old. So it saw families, born, raised, died, and all of that. So.
Oh my God.
Robotics with AI built in can become companions to not just elderly people but to families.
Yeah.
I think in the future every family will have
they will,
their own.
Yeah, I can't wait actually for that. It'd be great, because you feel bad asking someone to come in and do the jobs that you're not doing or whatever. Do you know as well?
You even have AI now.
Hard.
You have AIs. I've seen this. I love gadgets and things where the camera will watch your dog or your cat. And if the dog or the cat goes outside, it will feed them. It will dispense food for them. So you don't have to be there during the day to worry, are they hungry or have they got water?
Have the company.
Yeah.
They're all grand.
The AI will do that. So if it can do it with pets, it can certainly do it with humans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Children come in from school, dispense the dinner.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be there.
You don't even have to be there.
You can be on the screen of the robot's chest.
Yeah, but you can be on a beach in Thailand or somewhere.
Hello, children. Good morning, children.
Yes, your dinner's in somewhere there. Ask your father. We are the Happy Headers. Let us know what you think. Subscribe to us, like us, and we'll talk to you soon.